Hi guys, welcome back to Thorough Capping. I had to do this video simply because to piggyback on the last one, and this isn't the first time I've done this. I downloaded the wrong past performances. The Gulfstream past performances I used in the last video were actually for Saturday, 7:15, and not Friday, 7:14. So I don't know. I just misclicked or whatever, but they're for Saturday, July 15th. And that's not the only reason I'm putting this video on here. Actually, it's not even not even close to the main reason. The reason I want to put this on here is just to show you the summary grids that I spoke of in the video before this, and what they look like when they're completed. Now, this took me about 2 hours and 15 minutes to do a card of 10 races, and I don't look at 2 hours and 2 hours, 2.5 hours of doing a full card of races to be that long of a time. I mean, when I dig into my handicap and I expect to be there for a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, to do my due diligence. And even if you're using a software program that spits out numbers for different categories and different factors, I mean, you still have to do your deep dive and look at the type of races and kind of figure out what's doing best on this particular surface, this particular distance, and kind of sort your numbers on those programs to suit your needs. Because honestly, every race that's run, there's so many factors that are in those programs, and I'm talking about the ones that you pay for, whether it be by subscription, whether it be one time $200 or whatever it may cost you, and then you have to buy the data files. There's just so many factors in those systems and those algorithms that no matter who wins the race, you could probably sort to a point where, man, if I would have just sorted this way or that way, I would have had the winner. Well, I mean, that's like hindsight. So no matter what you're using for your handicapping, you should be putting your time in, and there's no method you should be doing that takes you 20 minutes to do a card of 10 races. If you do, you're probably cheating yourself or shorting yourself, or not giving yourself a chance for your best advantage. So let's take a look at this grid right now. I have, in the last video, I talked about how we did the qualitative scan, and I hung on to any horse that either had a turn move in the last two races, one of the last two, a stretch move, coming out of a key race, next out, coming out of a race where there was a next out winner in the top three, and this horse ran fairly well that race. Class droppers, a trainer notation, or who I project to be the early speed. Anybody else I toss if they do not meet this criteria right here. And you're going to find out that in a field of 10 horses, you're probably going to get about 6 to 7 horses that are going to meet that first set of criteria, because you're allowing yourself to reach back 2 races and not just the last race. You reach back 2 races, especially if both of them were somewhat recent, or the 1-2 back was somewhat recent. You reach back. And then those are the horses we go and we do our matrix system factors on. I did the target, the ability, target buyer, final fraction, and my speed cumulative, which was either the Briz number. I was using Briz past performances, or if you're using daily racing form, you're going to be using the buyers. I said in the last video that if anybody who has purchased Thorough Capping, there's a notation on the grid that says email me if you want a complimentary tutorial for the matrix system, which is probably close to 100 slides, and it really dives deep into this information here, as well as to follow the figures. And then what I did was, whoever showed up here and here were the ones that I put in the contender spots. And what I did was I made paste grids only, and I'm going to put these on the main grid, Thorough Capping grid, as a tab on the bottom. And it was nice because I was able to cut the pace and velocity grids down to just the horses that I wanted to focus on. And then once I finished, my only focus now is going to be on the averages. I'm not eyeballing the 3 segments and trying to paint a picture this way. I am now looking at just the averages and throwing them on the grid. Whoever came up with the best in the top 4. Okay? And again, the main reason I'm doing this is because there are people, and I understand it and I get it, especially when you're first learning this, that this becomes a very, very taxing job as far as doing a whole card of races and just learning how to do the calculations. Now you don't have to input your numbers for every single horse. Instead, all the work is done on your past performance, even if you're now using the paper. You do use the paper past performance, the daily racing form book. If you print out your past performances, whatever it may be, you can do it in pen. Do it in pen on here, and then take your information, such as who is the top target, who's the top ability, and then throw them onto the grid here. And the only thing you'll have to really enter is when you go to your pace grids and you do your second ranking contenders and you get their averages. Okay? So again, another reason why I'm doing just the averages and not this segment is I'm looking to do my best to try to cut down your workload. So in return, though, and to cut down the workload, we've also added some new factors in here as well that we did not have on the other grid. Okay? And we just did a different version of qualifying your contenders or eliminating your contenders, and see how that works for you. I'd love to hear comments, questions that you may have. Throw them in the comments. Email me, thoroughcapping@gmail.com. And anything I can hook you up with, I will hook you up with. All right, thanks for viewing.